finally, we're on a fast track to seeing some Doom Z action. Now make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more Oz content. So we're going to be looking at 3v3 here out of Japan from this last weekend, because I wanted to see a lot of the early action here, and I wanted to see how is Duma Dimensions shaping up here. Now, your first, I mean, this is going to be your top 12 technically, because, you know, 3v3. But we did have 4 Vanquish Soul Canine variation piles sticking around in the room. I want to be very clear about this, though. VS is got a couple of problems with the new Yummy stuff. Yummy getting a extra named monster and having a lot more capabilities to kind of play through some of the things that these decks are doing was a very pleasant surprise to be seeing on the front of things. We do have a canine variant, which was on the winning team, which was a crazy idea. When you see that list, you'll be like, oh, okay. Then we had Doom Z. I am actually extremely happy that somebody brought Doom Z to the playing table here, because I love conceptually the way that this deck is, the way it looks, the way it plays. It's really, really cool. We also had a Risle pile. Now remember, Risle in the OCG, a lot different than, you know, you kind of expect. They have harsher limitations on the deck than we do. We also have a Crystron Canine deck, which no matter how time goes on, Crystron Canine continues to just be a deck that sits here kind of withstanding the erosion of time. Like, the deck is a very solid pick. And we also have a Draco Tail variant as well. Now, is this a pretty good accurate representation of things? Yeah, I mean, this looks pretty much like you'd be expecting after a major core shift around like this. Let's pass on over to those deck lists. Starting things off here, we have our pure canine strategy. Now, what's very interesting to me about this is we're using the Millennium monsters to basically allow us some extra stepping stones to be able to set things up a lot more consistently. I think the thing that makes this deck very, very scary, though, is the fact that you can see we're using the Mjolnir lock in here to basically paralyze the opponent and make it so that they get a turn skip through the Imperial Princess. You know, I didn't think anybody would be playing this, but the fact that we have on our first place team the Mjolnir lock showing back up is an incredibly ballsy thing. Now, the rest of our team here, we do have a Vanquish Soul Canine. Now, this list is doing the Impulse and the Fire Attacker. I think the cool thing about these lists has always been the fact that you can use the Fire Attacker to basically be able to sculpt your hand and initially set you up into finding, you know, the Holy Sue of major plays. We all love being able to deploy a Holy Sue in the very early stages of the game against your opponent. You know, they usually end up not having a good time trying to deal with it. You also see we have Dark Ruler No Mores down here as well to kind of clean up some of the problems. You also do get to see that the new Canine rank 5 has moved on into all of these lists as well. And our last teammate here is also playing Vanquish Soul Canine. Now, this list, I mean, your real major changes here, we do have the C101 and the C107, depending on which matchup you're going to go into. This build actually was playing Phantasmes in the deck. I actually think it's really cool to see that Phantasme is still getting some hang time out here. Like, it proves that this card is a very, very strong variant. It actually allows you a lot of leeway to kind of set up. Also, you see the Impulses and the Fire Attackers being side decked down here, which definitely helps this deck out, you know, accomplish its big game plan. Now, our second place team, Yummy. Oh boy, I love the fact, can you spot the Marshmallow? I can. So Marshmallow gets a chance to move on into this deck as a 3-of. You've also noticed that Lollipop has been getting some reductions. The more you look at these lists, you'll see that poor Lollipop has been the one that's been getting cut back. You also do see triple Metaltronius down here. We've reached the point now that if you can knock one of your opponent's key pieces out of the way in the mirror match with Metaltronus, or, you know, just get an extra piece established, you might be able to capitalize and win the game on some craziness. Next up here, we have more Yummy for you. Now, between this list and the other list, you do notice that Engage has been bumped down to a 1 of. Surprisingly enough, Engage just doesn't really have the same value that it did. I mean, card does accomplish some great plussing for you. You're able to put your opponents into some really bad positions, usually off of the resolution of getting that value off of Engage. It's a very true story at this point. Getting that advantage is always going to be very good. You do see going with the triple dominus in here. No imperms in this variant of the deck, which I think ends up being just fine here. Next up here, we have more Vanquish Soul Canine for you. This build going with 1 copy of the Phantasme. I think that's fine. Once again, you don't want to bulk down on this deck with too many of the subsequent bricks, man. Because I assure you, the more that I have played this deck, and while Phantasme is an incredibly good card for finding you into those key resources and making sure that you can, you know, set up and go, sometimes it just is not really worth it in the main deck. That's why you see more people citing it. Also, Shifter definitely earning its colors out here. Being a blowout card against Yummy is really good. All right, we have our Doom Z duelist. This is not a drill, everybody. Doom Z, in terms of its ratios in the very early stages, going with triple Medius the Peer. I know a lot of people are trying to like step away from Medius. What are you doing? He's needed for the strategy. This build also is building in Super Poly in here and is actually using the new Psychic monster in here. The fact that if Vanquish will allows you to use that Super Poly to turn their Vanquish Soul craziness into, you know, getting punished, I would absolutely love to see that. I think that would be a hilarious thing to see. But all right, next up here, we have the Risle Anamana good stuff. You do see that we do get to play the Kage Tokage in here. I think that's one thing that we were all kind of hoping with this deck was, can we actually make the Kage Tokage work? Like, is there actually a way? And yeah, he just slots right on into the deck. The fact that he's another little extender for the deck. You also do see we're going with triple droplet in here, which is really good. You do see the Book of Eclipses in here, and you do see that we do get to play the Unbreakable Exceed support, big negation, anti-fun card for the opponent. But I think everything here looks absolutely as you would expect it to. All right, we've also got, more Vanquish Soul. You know, I'm not surprised to see Vanquish Soul just doing its thing. It's so cool to see. Oh my God, is that Swords of Concealing Light? We've talked about this a long time ago, that you can use this against Yummy and be able just to book their entire field. And especially like on resolution, you just get to take away all of the real advantage that your opponent might be setting up. I love that. That is such an adorable thing to punish the opponent with. Okay, you've got my attention now. I really do like that. Now, we've also got some Crystron Canine action. I'm glad to see that Mr. Scrap Recycler's getting some playtime in here. You know, Scrap Recycler ends up being, I think, one of the coolest options that this deck actually gets. Also, the River Stormer abilities in this deck really turns that on in to a massively playable situation. Honestly, shout out to River Stormer, man. And the fact that, you know, with the canine stuff, that you can actually take advantage of that package. Because having cards like that to support you, I think are some excellent additions to making this deck better. Next up, we have more Yummy. Now this build, going with triple copies of Engage, I don't necessarily hate this idea. Once again, you saw on the top end of things out here, though, that if you're going with this, you typically want to be trying out one Engage. You know, reducing the numbers of Engage in the consistency options, I do think ends up working out very well. Also, this build's playing Foolish Bro Goods to drop down the Black Goat Laughs. It's not exactly something that I have seen yet, but I like the idea that we can actually use that to kind of help us and punish the opponent. Interesting. All right, and then our last list here is some Draco Tail, sporting off the Magus package. Unfortunately, you know, TCG kind of gets punished. We don't really have the capabilities of using, you know, this package, but you do see that we have the Shaddoll stuff in here as well. Basically, generically being able to make the Shaddoll fusion monsters against your opponent, I do think ends up being a very, very cute thing. And I'm kind of wondering if that will end up sticking around as kind of a very cool option. See, also this build's not even giving the time or day to the new trap card. But what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.